Alright, all set to go. Good afternoon, everyone. Bon après-midi, tout le monde. Thank you very much for joining me here in Sydney. Obviously across from the beautiful, well-known Opera House. We're here in Australia to start off the second leg of a three-leg tour in the Indo-Pacific. This is a very important relationship for Canada to continue to build on. It is one that's predicated on years of cooperation. We're a Five Eye partner country. We share information. We've had a long, strong, and historical relationship between our countries. And it's one that we're building on. We're building, of course, on two tracks. One is just generally speaking, a broader and deeper economic connection. But we're also, as we move more directly into the Indo-Pacific, we are moving into the area of defense and security with our Australian counterparts much more directly. So I'm pleased to be here to participate in the tour with the Prime Minister. We have a whole series of meetings lined up with private companies, with research institutes, with parliamentarians, Prime Minister, ministers of the Crown. So we hope will be a very productive several days together. Donc on est très content d'être ici aujourd'hui avec vous. C'est une mission importante pour le Canada. Présentement, on travaille de très près avec les Australiens, avec l'Australie depuis très longtemps. Mais évidemment, on a d'autres progrès à faire. Des connexions au niveau économique, comme je l'ai dit en anglais, des connexions au niveau de défense, de sécurité, de renseignement. L'Australie est un partenaire important dans le mouvement des Five Eyes, des 5 pays qui coopèrent depuis très longtemps. Donc c'est un moment important pour nous. This is not so much about competing with Australia as it is collaborating. And as the Prime Minister said, perhaps I'll close with this before taking your questions. As the Prime Minister made very clear in Davos and his telegraph to the world, middle powers like Canada and Australia have a lot in common and a lot to build on. And if we diversify our relationships, deepen those relationships, as we hope to do here over the next couple of days, we believe it's a very positive thing for Canada, Australia, and for the world. Thank you very much.
Mr. McGuinty, can you take us through the government's thinking back to U.S. airstrikes? Did we have a choice?
Listen, the government of Canada has been very clear about its position on Iran for some time. Recently listing a group in Iran as a terrorist organization, obviously following very carefully the kinds of human rights abuses, the terror inflicted upon the population in Iran, the suffering of women in particular in Iran. So the Prime Minister was very clear in his statement that he supported the incursion led by the United States and Israel. But I want to make it very clear that Canada and Canada's armed forces were not involved in the preparation nor the execution of that particular decision by the Israelis and the Americans to attack Iran. Le Canada, depuis très longtemps, critique et contre ce qui s'est passé en Iran depuis longtemps, des décennies. Les gens, la population ont beaucoup souffert, surtout les femmes. Et on voit ça depuis quelques années. Le Premier ministre a indiqué clairement que c'est le moment d'appuyer les États-Unis, d'appuyer le double entre les Israéliens et les Américains. C'est un moment important pour le Canada d'être là, mais je vais être en même temps très clair que les forces armées canadiennes n'ont pas été impliquées, ne sont pas impliquées dans ce qui se passe maintenant en Iran. Well, listen, as I say, we've been following the situation in Iran for quite a while, carefully. We're getting just-in-time updates on the situation in the Middle East now. And the Prime Minister and the government decided from the beginning of this that we would support this incursion. But we're also calling for a diplomatic end to it. We very much would prefer to see peace and a ceasefire. That's what my colleague, Minister Anand, is driving forward now with her colleagues around the world. And so we'll see where this takes us. Canadians know this is a difficult, complicated, and unfortunate situation. We would all rather see peaceful dialogue. But we have a situation now where two sovereign countries, have decided to prosecute a war. Canada is not involved in that war at this time. Ben écoutez, on préfère toujours que les choses soient assujetties à une résolution où on dialogue, où on parle ensemble. Ce qui se passe avec la terreur, l'endommagement de l'Iran et les pays aux alentours, la perte de vie, les gens qui sont blessés. Pour le Canada, évidemment, l'alternative, c'est toujours, ce serait peut-être meilleur pour nous de poursuivre comme on le fait. C'est faire une résolution diplomatique, mais en même temps, on est là pour aider les gens qui sont présents dans la région. Nos équipes diplomatiques au Canada sont là pour aider. Les gens sortent maintenant sur des vols commerciaux, mais on se tient à l'écoute de très près avec ce qui se passe.
Does Canada believe it is a positive development that the Ayatollah is dead and was killed in these strikes?
Does Canada believe that the killing of the Ayatollah is a positive development? The Ayatollah Khomeini has been for many, many decades a very, very powerful force for evil in Iran and in the region. We know what's been happening and led through Iranian proxies. We know where funding and financing has been coming from. We know the extent of the involvement of the Iranian regime in, for example, organized criminal syndicates. We know what's been happening. And so at this stage, let's hope that cooler heads prevail. Let's hope that things calm down. Of course, we're watching this very carefully. It's a very serious moment. We're not underestimating that. But Canada will use its diplomatic efforts to try and stabilize the situation.
Canadian military personnel are in the Middle East right now.
There are some in the Middle East now. They're all fine, out of harm's way, and it's something that we're watching very carefully.
Rough estimate.
Minister, a number of countries in the region now are getting Iran is lobbing missiles at them, flying drones. Has there been any discussion about Canada taking part in an effort to defend these countries from bombing from them?
There has not. It's difficult for us to divine from Canada, but our forces, our operational folks are watching this carefully. Why Iran has decided to act the way it's acting in trying to drag other member countries in the Middle East, other sovereign states into this war is a question that's better put to them. Probably predictable, but not helpful.
Minister, it's been nearly 12 years since the last Prime Minister visited Australia. Do you think it's been too long?
It's never too late. Here we are. I think it's going to be a very positive couple of days. Certainly on the defense and security side, I'm looking forward to making progress with our counterparts here. There's a new openness here in Australia to work with Canada. I would say that. I would say that the Prime Minister's outreach and indicating that there is another way for middle powers to come together and collaborate on the economy, on defense, on security, is a message that resonates very strongly. And in my meetings leading up to this visit with my counterpart, there's a great excitement here in Australia to see a further rapprochement between Canada and Australia.
What do you say to former Liberal cabinet ministers?
So, give me one
What do you say to former Liberal cabinet ministers who
Attends une seconde. En français? Non. Écoute, c'est un bon moment pour le Canada et l'Australie de venir ensemble, de poursuivre une coopération plus approfondie, économique et dans le domaine de la défense, évidemment. C'est jamais trop tard, mais je pense qu'il y a une réceptivité ici en Australie qui suit le discours que M. Carney, le Premier ministre, a prononcé à Davos, où il a indiqué qu'il y a une autre façon de procéder dans le monde. Absolument, il va toujours avoir des grands pouvoirs, mais c'est le moment maintenant pour des pays dits médiums au niveau de grandeur économique de venir ensemble, de s'aligner et de coopérer. Et c'est exactement ce qu'on fait ici.
Last question.
Was Canada given advance notice by the Americans of these strikes, of the U.S. strikes? And what do you say to former Liberal cabinet ministers like Wood Axworthy who criticized this decision to support the
Well,
U.S.?
two things I would say to that. No, Canada was not given advance notice. Very clear on that. We've not been given advance notice. And two, the Liberal Party of Canada is a big tent. There's room for all kinds of competing views. I think it reflects Canadian society. That's a good thing. We're having dialogue, we're having debate. It's open, it's transparent. We'll find our way forward. And I think this mission here for Canadians indicates the efforts we're making to try to engage in the world. And, you know, and just perhaps with this, leave you with this, on the Indo-Pacific front, this is really an illustration of Canada acting practically in terms of Indo-Pacific engagement. And we'll have a lot more to say about this when we issue a final document or communique coming from these meetings for the next couple of days. But it builds on the 12 agreements that we've signed, trade and defence, over the last 6 months. This is an unprecedented speed in Canadian history of engaging in the world. And we're hopeful it's going to lead to a further strengthening of the Canadian economy. It makes our economy more secure and more sovereign. That can only be a good thing for Canadians. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, there you have it. Don't forget to leave your comments, like, follow, subscribe. Thanks for joining us this morning, Will.